Hello everyone and welcome to another MASH session, and I'm delighted today to be joined by one of the bigger personalities in the UK events industry scene. Not only is she the MD of the Taylor Lynn Corporation, but she's also an esteemed conference news columnist as well. Welcome, Liz Taylor. How you doing, Liz?
Good afternoon. Hi there. Good afternoon to you.
Great. Now, it's been a busy time for everyone in the industry, but I thought just so we can make sure everyone knows exactly how deep-rooted you are in our little world, tell us a little bit about the story of TLC. Where did it begin? How long ago? And how you got to where you are now?
Well, you gave me such a big introduction there that I hope that I'm not going to disappoint. But I started in the industry in 1986. So I'm a veteran. In fact, VE Day it is today, and probably for me too. The Taylor Lynn Corporation was established in 1995. It was a series of moves that had evolved themselves. So I started on my own, sold out to a London company. I was restricted in what I could do in an industry that was growing very, very rapidly. And in 1995, I decided to join forces with Diane Lynn, who was a supplier of mine. She was a florist. So we formed the Taylor Lynn Corporation. And then in 1996, the IRA bombed Manchester. And that, for our industry, was, when I say the best thing, I say that sympathetically, but it actually it brought so much into the city. The investment in the city, people recognised that Manchester could be second to London, and from there on the business flew. And I established contacts with hotels, people that I still work with now. And I've always said it's not about what you know, it's who you know, and making sure that you look after those contacts over the years, because they are, you're building this whole business network. And so we organise corporate events, private parties, conferences, overseas, in the UK, everywhere. And I absolutely love it. It's the best business to be in.
Well, I think you've cited a few previous issues, shall we say, that the industry has had to circumnavigate, and we're in a deep one now. And I guess for events agencies and organisers especially right now, it's a really difficult time. So, I mean, what are you doing to keep your team positive?
My cup is always half full, irrespective. I mean, I've survived 2 recessions and I never thought that I would. The problem with this is the unknown, and the fact that we are, I suppose from a good perspective, we're all in this together. I have a very small team. I've always worked with a very small team and a huge list of suppliers that I've worked with exclusively for 30 years. But my guys are totally committed to me. They, you lead by example, and they know that TLC will survive this. It's very difficult because they're furloughed, so they can't actively work. But we have sessions 2 or 3 times a week. We chat about stuff that we've never chatted about before. We discuss social media, how we're going to implement, how we're going to grow. I wasn't social media savvy, but I am now. And I'm also investing in my website, which people might think is the most ridiculous time to do it, but I'm making that investment personally, because I actually believe that when we come out of this, unfortunately, there'll be casualties, there'll be fewer people, competition will be less, and I want to come out of it with TLC on the tip of everybody's lips. So I'm not rebranding, but I'm looking at ways that I can give this the cutting edge, and also give my team the confidence that not only am I just an event planner, but I'm a businesswoman and I'm an entrepreneur. I know what I'm doing, and they're on this journey with me. And, they are me, they're my brand.
So obviously you've got to look after your team. That's obviously a very important aspect of this. Everyone's going to be in that boat. But what about your relationships with your clients and contracting matters? Is that being regimented? Are you being flexible? Tell us about the relationship with your clients right now.
Because of my relationships with my suppliers, I have been able to negotiate with them for my clients. So whereas a lot of people find themselves in a situation where they've paid deposits, the event's been cancelled, the money's lost, there's no insurance for anything like this, not for them nor for me, I have negotiated postponement with each and every client and advised them. My view is that there will be absolutely nothing until next summer. And so we've worked very hard with every client and offered them that possibility, and they've all snapped it up. That way they're minimising the losses, and I'm showing again that we're not just a design agency, but actually we are an event organiser, and we are going to be able to support them in organising their event. And whether it's now or whether it's in a year's time, so be it. But I think that's a huge, you look when you go to a professional, when you go to a company for a service, you want that service to support you in the decisions that you make. And this is part of that support.
So, I mean, I know you mentioned a moment or two ago that, you weren't really optimistic that events were going to be coming back before 2021. But are you being taken in by a lot of the other predictions that are being bandied around at the moment, considering that all the uncertainty still around? I mean, if I were to force you for a prediction, what do you think the next few months does look like?
I think the next few months are grim. I'm not going to pad it out or make it sound better than it is. But what I do think is that it gives each and every one of us the opportunity to sort of plot and plan. For me, I turn any negative into a positive. So I know that I'm not going to have anything in my, my whole December at the moment looks like it's crashed. And that's we're talking, probably well over £1 million worth of business. But I think that you have to take the tools that you've got, be realistic. I don't have to pay any rent because I own my own premises, because 10 years ago or 20 years ago I knew that to own an office was always a better investment. So when I took dividends out, that went into property. And so my overheads are low, or they're minimal. And I don't think there's any point in pretending. Nothing will happen until a vaccine comes out. Nobody, including myself, would want to go into a room full of 200 people in the knowledge that this is still lurking around. I'm doing an awful lot of planning on smaller events, dinners, conferences, things for 50, 30, 40, 50 people. And I think that the corporates will buy into that and welcome that sort of support. And I think that's something that realistically we will be able to produce. But at this moment in time, I don't have a prediction. Other than that, I am totally confident that in a year's time, this industry will be back on its feet. And it's what you do, and what we all do in between now and the next 12 months. And I have suppliers phoning me every day thinking I've got a magic wand. Liz, what do you think? And, Liz, I own dance floors and bars. And there's nothing. You just have to get every bit of government support that you can. And they've been very supportive in the things that they've offered. And just hope that, we can ride the storm.
Well, I was going to say, BVEP research survey has kind of told us that 60% of suppliers were worried they're not going to effectively last until the summer. Does that worry you for the supply chain when we come back?
It worries me because these people are key to they are the vital ingredient in any successful event. The suppliers, the people that supply me with the crockery, the lighting, all of them. And it worries me because I know what we've all put into it. But I think we have to be quite pragmatic. If a supplier does not survive, then there will be another supplier out there. And it's maybe a little callous, but I'll always be able to get a light. I'll always be able to get a marquee. I'll always be able to get a venue. I think the thing that I'm trying to focus on is making sure that in the postponement of events, in the knowledge of the business that I've got, that these guys can sort of ride the storm with me and will be there. I haven't got a crystal ball. I wish I did have. I only know that I've been through this before, in a similar way with 2 recessions, where it was doom and gloom and none of us ever thought we'd get out of it, and we did. And so I suppose I'm hoping that this will be the same. This sounds terribly negative, but it's not. I think you've got to face these things head on. There's no point in wrapping them in cotton wool and pretending that there is an answer, because there isn't. But I think for all the small businesses, with all the support, if people are clever, there is a chance they can survive, but a chance.
Yeah, of course. Well, we're all rooting for them. We're hoping as many can survive as possible. I've wanted to kind of now just drop in about your new consultancy venture. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the consultancy is something that I've been sort of plotting and planning for about 12 months. And obviously having the time at home now, I've been able to develop it. I've taken on a marketing and PR person, and the response has been huge because it includes motivational speaking. I'm a brand ambassador. I've got venues that are coming to me now and asking me if I can consult in ways of, when we come out of this, helping them rebrand, get the name out there. I'm doing a lot of media stuff, radio, and I am very brand aware. When I started in business many years ago, I was in fashion originally, and I trained with Marks and Spencer's. And I worked for a private fashion group. I ran all the retail outlets. And one of the buyers said to me, she said, if ever you set up in business on your own, build a brand. And that's the one thing that has always stuck with me. So this is what I'm doing. I've got a fabulous clothing brand that it's a personal, it's a baby thing where you can sort of personalize all the clothes. They come to me. I've got a black book that is totally invaluable. And as somebody once said to me, the difference with my black book and others is that if I pick up the phone, they actually answer. So I've got all sorts of amazing contacts, and everyone comes together. You know, people with 650, 700,000 followers on Instagram, I phone them up and say, do me a favor, post this for me, will you? I've got that. They do it. It's immediate. And so I've got lots of sort of, I can bring a lot to the table with the consultancy, and I'm really enjoying the challenge of something new. At the same time, in the knowledge that I'm not neglecting anything else, because at the moment there are no events. So I'm juggling a few balls, but the consultancy is hugely exciting.
That's great, and we'll make sure, folks, that we pop the website to that in the description of this video. So finally, Liz, I just wanted to just pick your brains about this podcast series that you said you were doing. What can you fill us in on that about?
Oh, Martin, you'll love them. You'll love them. So I was interviewed by Lisa Morton of Roland Dransfield PR recently for a podcast, and I thought, you know, I should be doing this. I've got this black book, I've got the time, and I made a few calls. And Kate Cocker, who is a producer, who was actually helping me. She was helping me to present my motivational talks without notes, which is so difficult, even for somebody as gobby and as confident as I am. And that was my thing. And in the course of it, she said she produced podcasts. So we launch on June the 3rd. We're doing one a fortnight. I've got a bank of about 6 months, and we're doing one celeb and one somebody who's had a journey, somebody who's, so for instance, I work with a celebrity florist, and I've got somebody who's been very ill, and all sorts of different things. But I've got Eamon Holmes, Christopher Biggins, Kath Tilsley, Kim Marsh, Katie Piper's come on board, Sally Lindsay. I mean, I've got the most, and I've had Lisa Riley. We've just had such fun. And of course, because everyone's in lockdown, they're only too happy to spend an hour or so talking to me. So I'm really lucky you got to tune in. That's they're called Events That Made Me, and they're going to be out on the 3rd of June.
Great. Well, hopefully I'll get an interview slot as well then.
Oh, more, yes.
Great. Okay. Liz, thank you so much for joining us, albeit in this virtual sphere, and very best of luck. And folks, if you need if you want to contact Liz, by all means, come to me, drop me an email, and all the web links you need will be in the description box of this video. Liz, thanks for joining us.